pretty simple. But yeah, what's up, everybody?
It's good.
Today we're going over some newbie tutorial shit for setting up like a Coinbase account for Cole here and getting him kind of invested into the crypto game, getting some skin in the game. But yeah, just we're gonna go through just kind of like he's gonna download the app on his phone, which most people are probably gonna do right off the bat, because most people are mobile users these days. But in my experience with using Coinbase, it's been super nice. Very simple interface. They have not every cryptocurrency out there, but that's okay. They have a very good selection, and they're very secure. One of the most secure, if not the most secure, kind of centralized exchanges. But what he's doing right now is he has a Cole had a previous account that he's trying to sign into. So if you don't have an account or anything, the sign up process is pretty easy. Let me drink some tea. But you are going to need to have like your ID on you, and then you're going to basically need to verify your identification and all that. But before all those details, I think this is just super important. I guess kind of piggybacking off the last video or the last couple videos, been getting more into cryptos and stuff and just digital assets and whatnot. And I think sharing this with your family and friends is a good thing, especially with what's going on right now in the world. I think a lot of people are paying more attention to this. Even your pops was getting interested in this, which was cool to hear.
Yeah, that was really cool to hear. Talking to my dad, who's like a little bit older.
Yeah. Yeah, even
really interested in doing stuff like cryptos. Is just like.
Yeah, and he was just saying that there's not a lot of trust left in the traditional financial system. So
yeah,
even like a lot of I think it's like younger people can kind of easily adapt to this kind of new wave of things, but for older adults, I think it's super cool to see even people in older generations getting more accustomed to it and whatnot.
So like basically, when I signed up for this Coinbase account,
do you remember when you did it?
No, I must have done it such a long time ago because the address that I had listed was my old address from California. So it's been a while. But basically, when I signed in, they text you dual authentication passcode, and then putting that in, they send you an email that then you have to click the link. So it's like a 3 layers of linking your account so that you can link your device to your account, and then once you have that completely locked in.
Yeah, and that's good for people to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because so basically every time you make a transaction on there, every time you withdraw something, send it, you're going to get an email notification. You can also push to send phone notifications, but that's going to be kind of annoying. But yeah, your email is going to get blasted, but you also, I have something in my eye. I actually tried turning, I was looking into turning the email notifications off yesterday, and you actually can't do that. It's kind of a security measure, which is a good thing. I was just kind of curious if you were able to do it. But yeah, you're going to get pushed emails on basically everything you do, which is basically just...
I guess I just haven't been active on my account. If I don't have anything in my account, like I'm just not getting any notifications. But
so the most important part is going to be linking up your bank account, though. That's just going to be kind of the second thing you do. With all that, you don't have to do it now.
I think I've already done that.
You already have. Fucking Christ, dude! I have something in my eye. I think it's an eyelash or some shit.
Shit.
Jesus. Yeah, but if you have it linked, that's good.
Yeah.
You do?
Be down to buy something.
Yeah. So even just like I would just put like for at least this is how just I started with something like just to get the feel of kind of depositing money and withdrawing assets and stuff. Like you can just buy like $10 worth of like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, just like any of those big ones, or really $10 of kind of anything you're really interested in. But and again, none of this is financial advice. This is just like trying out some. This is just giving Cole some experience with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
I was interested in buying Cardano, honestly.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I have I love Cardano. Solid project. Community is the ADA gang is strong. And 70 like more than like around 70% of ADA holders have their ADA staked, which basically means the network strength is extremely strong. Like 70% of all of the people that have Cardano are staking it, getting that passive income, and I do that too. It's pretty easy to do.
Is that something you would do on this app, or is that something you do?
So that's a good question. So Coinbase does offer staking on some cryptocurrencies. It's not great rewards. They do take kind of a percent. They offer rewards on like Algorand staking, even some stablecoin stuff, not a lot. But Cardano has a third-party wallet. So it's like a browser extension wallet. I can actually show you it here. It's called your it's really hard to say. Your ledger, Yori. Basically YOROI.
Yeah.
So however you say that, Yoroi. I think that's how you say it. Yoroi wallet. But this is basically a browser extension wallet. You want to do this on your desktop though, not your
my phone.
Not your phone, because so that's the thing with a lot of these kind of these wallets and whatnot. These private third-party wallets. Some of them aren't mobile friendly yet, because a lot of this stuff is just getting built out, which is cool because you get to kind of see the transformation of this technology and whatnot. But yeah, if you just search your browser extension, you can just download like the Chrome extension, I believe, so that'll give you that. And so it's going to take you, I forget exactly the process, but it is pretty... it is kind of lengthy, but it's going to basically set you up with your private key phrase and all that. And I would probably also maybe do this at a later date. Okay. Just because.
But is it easy from if I buy like Cardano and crypto, Coinbase, to connect it to that
and send it?
Are there gas fees for sending it?
So Cardano is no gas fees. Basically, it's going to be cents versus Ethereum, which is going to be a lot of gas fees.
Okay.
And you've I'm sure you've heard that narrative before, where the gas fees on ETH are like extremely expensive. But yeah, you're going to be able to send ADA to your wallet. Mine is actually connected to the ledger that I have, and I would also recommend, obviously you don't have to do this now, but for anybody out there as well, Ledger hardware wallets are cold storage wallets. Very, very nice piece of technology to safely secure your funds and stuff offline.
So if
you've seen me using that before and stuff, but you can. But basically, like for example, you're gonna we can go through that process, but it'll take about 10 minutes. You're going to get like a private key and like a 12 word recovery phrase that you're going to write down twice, store it somewhere safe. And that's going to be it. And basically, you're going to have that browser extension, which is now your wallet. You'll be able to transact through that. And then if you do ever, so if you were to purchase a ledger, down the line, you could connect it basically to the wallet on the browser extension. So basically, these things are like all interoperable, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But yeah, I would just honestly like spend some time. That's really nice that you had that wallet that was there.
Yeah.
Imagine if
I kind of had a feeling I was thinking about it, and I was just like,
imagine if you had bought some Bitcoin when you set it up.
Yeah, wow. Jeez.
That would have been nice.
That would have been nice.
Or literally it. Maybe like anything.
Anything. So when you're doing this stuff, are you just like on the trade part of it to like buy things?
Yeah. So when you're going through the app and whatnot, let's also, before we do anything else, I purchased my assets on Coinbase Pro. And so that's a completely different app under the same umbrella as Coinbase, owned by Coinbase. But Coinbase Pro is a different app that you guys are going to want to download. Otherwise, you're going to be paying basically. I mean, if you can, I stayed on the regular Coinbase app for about a month and this was at my very beginning stage of the journey, and I was a noob. But it's pretty easy for anybody starting out. I was just kind of hesitant, but it's pretty easy for anybody to do this. You can avoid some relatively hefty fees. I usually just deposit money into Coinbase Pro. The fees to buy assets are very small, and then you can transfer from Pro to your regular Coinbase account or send it to any wallet that you have set up.
Okay, so it's just kind of like another account under the same.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that it's two apps. I would think down the road they'd want to make it one and kind of merge the two.
One sec, apparently I have to grab my driver's license.
Yep. So yeah, you're gonna need to do that for all the newbies out there too, or for verification. ID verification is important. They basically are gonna need the Coinbase is also nice because they send you tax forms at the end of the year. They send you documents. I think it's like a 1099. There's a lot of new regulations coming in as well with the infrastructure plan or infrastructure bill. So pay attention to that with the regulations. Obviously, if you're using a centralized entity like Coinbase, they're going to be able to just send you a document with your tax information, just like Robinhood would or any other trading app. But it's crypto, so you're going to need to definitely at least be aware of that.
Yeah.
So Pro is good. It's nice. I don't use it for trading. It's basically their trading app. It's got like limit orders and like basically all the trading features that you would want, and the regular app doesn't have that. They basically have it set up like that so that newer people that are getting introduced into the cryptocurrency space can kind of take it slow, learn, and then kind of not jump into trading right away. But if you want to do some trading, Pro would be where you want to do it for sure. But I just buy my stuff there to avoid the fees. And then, you basically deposit USD from your bank into Pro, buy your asset, digital asset, whatever you're looking into. It's going to take the one the one kind of pitfall of centralized exchanges and all this stuff is that it will take 5 days for you to be able to send it out, because they need to obviously verify the transaction and everything and your money and stuff. But honestly, like, not that big of a deal if you're looking long term on things. But yeah, dude, I'm glad you're fucking interested in this stuff, and like, I'm noticing more and more of my friends are talking about it and wanting to learn more and whatnot. Noah was wanting to start that NFT podcast. Probably gonna look into doing something like that. Talk about NFTs and shit. That world is pretty. That's like a whole other. There's just so many different kind of rabbit holes that you can go down. You know, anything you're really interested in.
But so I'm signed in now to this Coinbase Pro.
So it's kind of simple. I mean, simple layout. I wish I could show this on the camera, but it is what it is. But yeah, you just got all your assets. You can just search for stuff. So like, data, it's right there too. And yeah, it's got all of like the trading features. I don't really use any of this stuff because I kind of just buy.
Yeah, not
and
really
hold.
Trade.
Yeah. Not too knowledgeable on trading, but if you guys are knowledgeable on that, you can make a shit ton of money. And then, so this is kind of your portfolio, all the stuff.
So I have to first deposit money in here to then buy.
Yep. So you can just like deposit USD, or if you bought it on Coinbase already, like the regular app.
Yeah.
That's fine. But did you notice like the fee it's probably like $1.99, like $1, something like that.
It says USD 0.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But yep. So this is just what I do. Okay. So like then you just do bank account. But so basically on here there's just no fees.
Okay.
So yeah, whatever if I usually DCA, a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, yeah, just again, in my opinion, I think it's best just to kind of hold on and just like learn more.
Yeah.
Kind of take it slow, because a lot of people will in their early stages will feel the FOMO, fear of missing out on, especially in these times when things are just kind of blowing up, you know?
Yeah. So if like I wanted to buy like $100 worth of this.
Yep.
But how much?
So
total.
Yeah. So this is kind of the tricky part about Pro. You're gonna have some more options because you have obviously more experienced trading features. So limit orders are, again, not very knowledgeable on these things, but you don't want limit, you want market order. A limit order it's basically placing like a buy order like in a certain range.
Okay.
So you're like
you would buy it at a certain price.
Yeah, it would like set the thing at a certain range to buy it.
Okay.
But if you just want to take it off the market, right where it's at, you go market order and then however much you want. I've never done a limit order or a stop order, but yeah, people use that all the time, trading wise. Maybe one day when I have more money to play around with, I got to give it a couple years at least.
So it looks like, I don't know if I can do it yet. I don't know if my account's.
Oh. You probably need to wait for verification.
Yeah.
Maybe look at your email, see if they sent you something about your verification is pending, something like that. Yeah, but It's so Coinbase is pretty much a very, very good introduction. I like to just go on their main app, and I look at stuff every day, kind of see what stuff is doing. Obviously, you're just looking at numbers, but once you got some skin in the game like you do now, you're going to care more.
Yeah, for sure.
About what's going on. Cardano was one of my first purchases as well. I love Charles Hoskinson. Mm-hmm. He's a fucking extremely intelligent guy. And yeah, he gets some hate here and there because he's very outspoken and stuff. But I love that guy. He's got some amazing insight, and he's got an amazing product that they're trying to get out there in the world. And he does. He what's really cool about Charles is that he does. He is very outspoken with the community, so he does a lot of live streams and stuff that you've seen I pull up kind of on YouTube and whatnot. And you just get to see kind of the progression and what these developers are doing, what these team leads are doing. And you start to realize kind of how critical this technology is for literally the sustainability of society into the future.
Yeah, and then also I feel like it also just diversifies how people are, putting their money in the sense of, not just where they place it in what bank, but what kind of values in country.
Right, because basically what you just did is you joined a network.
Yeah.
Right. You joined a community of individuals who has put their trust in a protocol that has a certain set of, set in stone foundations that are built into it and values and all that. And now you are a part of something greater than just yourself, and your monetary value did that, which is the crazy thing. And, when I first kind of was with when I first decided to start withdrawing stuff and start staking stuff on the network and getting kind of staking rewards and whatnot, it kind of really changed my perspective in terms of what money was, and I really felt sort of a sense of liberation and kind of freedom of choice to do what I want.
Yeah,
and put my value somewhere where, it's obviously it's extremely speculative and all this stuff is very, very new, but I mean it's shown to change the world within 11 short years of being around. So it's fucking nuts.
I'm trying to get into it now because I feel like it really is, whatever you think, going to be part of our future, and I think at this point it's only going to be growing. So being able to, get in on it now, even a little bit, I think could be very beneficial down the road. It's something.
It's the future money.
Being able to put something like $100 in, I was just gonna put I just put $200 in, and I was just gonna buy $100 of Cardano because it's just why not? Because I have money in my bank account where I can just kind of do that. Fortunately,
right.
And then especially if I don't have too many expectations of what it could be if it does become anything, which it most likely will. It's just kind of
if it does succeed, it changes the world.
Yeah, it does, and it would also just change it could potentially change my life a little bit,
and a lot of other people's lives.
And it could be very beneficial. And I think being part of that, and then also just having that money for myself, just thinking about different types of investments. It's not a bad idea when it feels like it's a low. It could be high risk in investment in the thoughts that you don't know if you're going to get all of it back, but it's just in the sense that you're not risking a whole lot.
Right.
There's not
the foundations are laid.
Yeah. There's not a lot to lose, and there's a lot to gain potentially.
Right.
So
right.
Doesn't really feel crazy to do it. And
no,
it's kind of
exactly.
Exciting,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying this is going to be the greatest kind of transition of generational wealth within the blockchain industry and all of and just these new projects, and these projects are tackling real problems in the world, and using this technology to make things transparent and establish trust. And I mean, it's crazy too, because I mean, when I first got introduced to this stuff, like I have no doubt that you'll be kind of taken down the rabbit hole too, but it really just kind of drives you fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you see me every day kind of involved with it and kind of taking in any type of knowledge or educating myself as much as I can. And it's, it's pretty unbelievable, just the power of the technology itself and the people behind it. And it really comes down to the people behind it, because at the end of the day, like, it's about people, and it's about radically kind of shaking up this archaic world and these archaic systems that have, that have kind of just put us in this box.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like growing up, being younger, you hear older people talk about like banks and investment groups, like fucking people over and like, things like that. And I feel like I didn't quite understand like what it completely meant to like be manipulating a stock market, or just like kind of like doing, it's just like,
when you're a kid, it's
like you understand that it like, hurts people potentially, and then like some people will make money, and there's just like, there's a dynamic there that, there's gain and loss for a lot of different people in different ways. But I think that like now understanding that, like being able to put my money into cryptocurrency and how it's actually making more of a statement that you're like taking your money out of the US bank industry that's just been like fucking people over for such a long time, because it's just like, dude, I have my money,
it's crazy,
in like Wells Fargo bank account, which is terrible. I just need to take it out. And like,
well, I mean, they're all kind of terrible.
They're all kind of terrible,
and
but like,
it's like not to shame like the people that are within the system. It's kind of like
they did fuck over a lot of people, like, specifically, and they're doing like fuck, like and making it all as they can. Yeah,
it's still happening.
But like having my money with them, it's just like, you're getting like 0.005% interest on your money that you're holding in there, and they're making so much money on whatever you have in your bank account, and you're getting no return on it. And then they're also they took advantage of a lot of people. And then it's like things like, if I have a debit card and I make like, if I overdraft like a fee on that, it's like they charge you $35 for an overdraft fee. And it's just like, seriously, charging 30, like I've had an overdraft fee of like $1 and they charge you $35.
Yeah,
and
it's like, how does that make any sense?
Thousands of dollars in them. Like, I wish you could just like overdraft. You could just pull it out of my savings account, because like that's just something where if that were to happen, which it very rarely has, but it's just like, if it does, it's just annoying to have to pay this massive fee. And it's like, they're making so much money from
and the fundamentals behind it, like, just the morality behind like even just a tactic like that. I think anybody can understand that that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And like there's so many fucked up things that happen within that system, but I think that's such a like obvious thing that goes on.
Like
anybody
scam.
I've had plenty of overdraft fees like in the past. Yeah. And I haven't had one in a while, but when it's happened, it's like, well, okay, now I have to pay like double. I have to pay like I have to pay like a considerable amount.
Yeah, it's a considerable amount.
The next time I get paid, it's like, all right, well, now I gotta. It's like just a fee. It's like an unnecessary.
It's like a bill, and they're ultimately making so much money off of you in the first place that like it just seems so criminal that they'd be able to do something like this. And I just eventually, like, even being as young as I am, feeling like that is just like not something that I'd like to be a part of, and like actually having the power to get out of one of those types of like financial institutions. That's just like kind of, I'm
gonna make sure this is recording still, but keep going.
Yeah, just like, they keep doing having these practices. So I think like diversifying my money and like actually trying to take it out of like something like that and then also putting it in something where, you know, you could be part of a bigger community, you could be helping a lot of people, you could be making a lot of money, and, you know, it is something that I think is going to be part of the future. So I think that, you know, having an opportunity to do something like that, even as like it kind of feels late in the game, but it's still very early.
Oh, you're not late at all, my friend. But it's like, a long road to hoe. I mean, these are like, and that's the thing too that you'll also realize is when you start getting kind of more involved, is that people think these things are going to happen like
very
quickly, but it's always longer than you think. Yes, things move extremely fast in the industry, but it does take time, and these are fundamental shifts that are going to take, I mean, it's people like you who just got kind of like pushed down the rabbit hole by myself, and kind of like like other people like me, and fucking it's just, you know, it's the network effect. But it takes time. But and I mean, this past week, I mean, this big infrastructure bill was just passed, and they're literally gonna pump fucking like $2 trillion or some, like $1.85, I don't know, trillion dollars into the market, and there's just like all of this money like is just being created, and everybody's focused on that. Like the number one thing that people are concerned about these days are inflation and shit. And even though like I just listened to a podcast about like, you know, even though like the economy right now is like, it's actually better than what it was in 2019, obviously, when everything was shut down and nobody was working, and nobody was like, there were actual a lot more, there were more lockdowns. Like the economy is actually better right now, but like people don't think that it is, you know? Like
and like I kind of feel like,
and like people just think it's getting worse, which it is. Like it's like people are coming to the realization that they're just kicking the can down the road, like the people at the top.
I know, but I mean, like I feel like that's been going on for like such a long time, because like the U.S. has been in debt since like Clinton was in office, and like it's practically never been in our lifetime that we just haven't been in this like rolling ball of debt from like these
huge ass bubble
that we've been in. And like just like the way that like, you know, that like it, you know,
and we were just born into this shit.
We're just born into this shit, and then suddenly it's just like this is how it is. And then like for us, you know, for people our age and for people older than us, it's like the idea of like buying a house just seems like, you know, you're basically spending an obscene amount of money that you're going to be paying off for the rest of your life, and that's what that is. And yes, like most people, like
they don't want you to own anything.
They don't want you to own anything, you know, because like if it were up to them, everything would just be, it's basically a subscription to your life.
It's hard to think about, dude. It is. It's hard to. It's hard. You know, I think about. I've been thinking about these things a lot, man. It's like the more you realize what's going on, the harder and harder it is to actually like think about it in real time, like all of the shit that's happening, like, you know what I mean? Like just like where it's all going, you know? It's hard to crazy. Even like grasp the magnitude of the time of our current day.
I mean, like things, you know? Just like don't stop moving.
Right.
And it's truly
and it seems like we're just on this downhill fucking roller coaster into hell.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that sometimes, because like there are these,
not all the time,
not all the time, but like when you really think about it, like sometimes I think about like, you know, like between like global warming and climate change, and then just like the way that like the U.S.'s political climate has also been just so hot.
I know.
But it's just like, you know, like I feel like it has to like come to a crescendo where it's like something's got to break.
Has to
and
snap.
I really, really hope it's more of like a social revolution. I think that's what a lot of people
we need unity, like we need love,
we need like unity and love. And I think that there's just like so much division, and like our current media is just so toxic. Like the way social media portrays everything, and the way that these like applications are just like meant to be addictive, and just like and then the way that like certain values are marketed, it's really unfortunate, because it's like I feel like unfortunately a lot of things that I personally don't think are like the best ways of doing things in the US are just like marketed like way better than
No,
things
I feel
that because like sometimes like there are ideas where I'm like I really
and there's money behind it all.
I really love this idea, but it's just marketed terribly.
Right.
And then there are these like terrible, stances, political stances that just like have these campaigns behind them that are just like done so well. Like I have to say, for as much as I don't like Trump at all, but like his campaign was done so well.
Right.
Like the slogan, you can't deny that the slogan like "Make America Great Again" was like the most perfect.
Captured people.
It captured an audience, and it brought back a sense of, it was such an easy thing to say. And like what's the bill now for like that just got passed?
Build Back Better.
Build Back Better. Like that's not easy to say. It sounds stupid, and like no one wants that. I hear that, and I'm like, even if I like that, I don't like it.
Right.
And you hear "Make America Great Again," and like even if I don't like Trump, it's just like you don't want to say that you don't like that because it's
You're like,
saying all these things that like you want, and it also brought an era of nostalgia back to an older generation that I think he was able to capture.
Yeah.
And like unfortunately, it just worked too well. And like you gotta give it, or it's just like that sucks that like someone that's like so malicious and I honestly don't think is good for this country is able to market himself so well, and it's just like I just wish that like making an infrastructure bill that's like pumping money back into our economy that's failing, which is hopefully going to be a good thing for our country, has like a slogan that just sounds garbage.
Build back better plan.
It's just like
come on, you guys.
Yeah,
and that's the thing too. Like nobody knows what the fuck is in it. It's like this thing. This thing is a fucking dictionary. Like I know it's just, and I think a lot like, yeah, man. I've been seeing fucking people bringing up Trump again, and they're like, you guys remember the days?
Yeah.
You guys remember the days when the good old days when none of this shit was going on?
Well, I was just talking to my dad, and he was just
it's like you can't deny that like where the fuck is Biden? Like what the fuck? Like
I feel
what?
Like the thing about Trump though, he's just so loud that he will get himself in the media no matter what.
Right.
And like right now, you just don't hear as much about Biden because he's just doing things.
Right.
And like he's not like,
or he's like sleeping.
Yeah, but like it's just like it's not like it's like Trump would be eating food and they'd be like publicizing it because he was just so loud about it. Well, and the thing is like he's able to like that's what I'm talking about, like marketing yourself like that. If it's publicity, good or
that's
bad.
all people care about.
That's all that people care about. Right. And people liked him because he was that. Like that was the character that he made for himself in. Like
he was proud,
media.
dignified,
he made
confident.
It's like he was
running McDonald's.
It's like it's like he was a TV show character, and the media was like literally like broadcasting it live 24/7.
Well, and then you see nowadays like the fucking just the polar opposites of like I see these fucking tweets where it's like somebody screenshots a tweet of like CNN like 4 years ago on some opinion, and then today screenshots a tweet and it's like the complete reverse opposite of like, and it's just like back and forth, and it's so obvious that like the media is just like, I mean when I mean you got again like you got to give it to Trump with the fake media shit. Like
I mean, like he did what he did very well.
He did, and and like you said, he is an expert businessman. Like, at heart, he is
like he knows what he's doing.
An expert marketer or businessman, and he can sway people's like.
Yeah, well, he's able to get attention. He's definitely like a personality that is so strong that you're able to capture an audience for however you want that to mean, and it might be whatever insane shit you're doing, and like it's funny when you're just a TV personality, but it's not when you're a president and you're like now have responsibilities and like people's lives are like at risk for the things you say or tweet, and it's like crazy. But like I was talking to my dad, and he was like, when Trump first ran, a lot of his friends were like, I don't think he would ever win because it's just like this crazy TV personality. My dad was like, yeah, unfortunately, I think he might. As much as I don't want him to, I think he might. My dad was just saying to me again, he's just like, he's going to run again in the next election. Like, I'm afraid that, like, I think he might win again.
Dems are fucked, dude.
And he was because you have to give it to him. He's really good at what he does, and if he's able to stay in the media, and like if he's able to portray Biden as like, you know, the lame person that he says he is, and say like, you know, basically make America great again with me back in office, he could do that, and he has such a following still that a lot of like, you know, now there are these like tyrannies of like political powers where it's just like, you know, the Clintons and the Bushes, and it's just like there aren't that many people, it seems like, that are stepping in and creating like a new face for like the president. So it's like I feel like I don't know what Republican that they would want to step in, and I feel like he has such a following, they might just say, you know,
like you said, I think it comes back to like what you said, like at some point this comes to a crescendo where we're at the tip of the ledge.
Yeah.
Right. We're at this point where we keep going, swinging this way
and that way.
We're swinging really hard this way, and then we're going back and forth and back and forth.
And
at some point,
guns, and there's people that don't want guns,
right.
And there's people who are like, you know, I'm not racist, and then
and
there are people that are like, we need to make rights better, and they're like, you know, it's just like, how do you say what is what, and like.
It's interesting just to kind of like take a 30,000-foot view and look at all this and look at all this stuff that's happening right now, and
yeah,
I mean, like, and we just chill every day, and we kind of just do our thing, and we work, and you know, like, it doesn't really like it. Most people just live their lives, like most people just they wake up, they wanna get some food, they want to make sure they're fed, they want to make sure they're warm, they want to have some money rolling in.
Yeah.
Keep everybody straight. Keep everybody well.
Everyone just wants to be happy.
And like there's it's just crazy to kind of see where we're at and understand that. Like
I think we're fortunate enough to be
optimist.
able to like, because me and you honestly have it really good. We're fortunate enough to be able to kind of like cruise through things, and like when we talk about these issues, it's just like I talk about this as like an outside view, because like honestly, like I'm like middle class white male, like I don't have any issues, so it's just like. Me talking about these political views, it's just like I'm able to say like, wow, that's terrible, but like it doesn't actually affect me in my day-to-day life. And I think that was something that like I remember talking to you about. Like there was a kid I knew in college that like had said like, you know, like, ultimately I don't care about, like, I don't vote and I don't care about politics because like it doesn't affect me at all, and like why would I care about that? And I'm like, that's like honestly such a privileged and selfish thing to say.
Right, you have to care.
And like, how are you an American and not care about democracy?
You have to debate
because, like,
these
that's
things.
Supposed to be,
like,
you know, and it's like such a like privileged thing to say. And I'm like, you know, like it's so nice for us to be able to just be like, you know, like I can kind of just like take it a step back and really look at these problems and be like, wow, that's crazy. But it's just like it doesn't affect me as much as it would affect other people. Like, you know, it's like when you hear about like, you know, like race issues, it's just like, wow, that's like I, you know, like I'm empathetic towards like these communities of people who are being like, you know, discriminated against, but like at the same time, like what do I truly know about discrimination? And like I can do what I can to like try to like help people or like not be racist, but at the same time it's just like I can, you know, these things that are happening in the government and happening in our society like don't affect me the same way it affects other people.
Right, and that's just reality.
Yeah,
that's just reality.
And it's like,
you have to recognize that. but at the same time, like being able to express it and discuss it and just being able to, you know, I was gonna say like, I think this is just kind of a side effect of everyone just becoming like more aware and more intelligent and more experienced in the world that we live in now with phones, everything being interconnected, the internet, all of that. It's like we're living in a time period that it's, you know, obviously like everybody's got their own life and shit. Everybody's going through their own stuff, but we're all experiencing kind of things as one like human race now more and more, right? Like we're able to step in other people's shoes more easily, and I think this is kind of just all of this turmoil and all of this divisiveness, all of this kind of debate over these things. You know, I feel like it's kind of like a side effect of just these growing pains. It's like growing pains, you know. It's just hard.
It's
just
hard because like, people's values are being threatened.
It's hard to reckon.
People's like people, you know? The way people, you know, people's lives and the way people like, you know, were brought up to believe things are just being, you know,
changed rapidly.
They're just being like argued against, and like for a lot of people, you know, like having that feeling of just like maybe losing what they know is definitely hard for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, it is something that will just take time, and I think generationally things will definitely change.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to change because like right now things are just so divided that it just seems like, you know, just so much turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And like our country can't run divided how it is. And it's sad because like ultimately I feel like a lot of times they like the current government that we have likes to keep people divided because it's easy to control the masses when they're against each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like if there are all these people, it's harder for them when they're all yelling at you and saying like, what are you doing about our jobs? Like, what are you doing about our money?
Right.
It's like, you know, we give you 25% of our income and all of these issues are happening. Like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, well, what about your neighbor, you know, that's like threatening your sense of what's right and wrong with these abortion laws, and suddenly you don't care about what they're doing. You care about what these other people are doing, and you're like encroaching on other people's lives, and it's just like
it's getting fucking
just
crazy.
The classic misdirection. It's just like this shit's just like insane. And I think like there's just so much that's ingrained in our society that like we do have to change things in a big way. Hopefully for the better, things will change in a big way to make things.
I'm an optimist.
I really do have hope that things will get better, because I know that there are enough people out there that want things to change for the better. And like ultimately, like even if you are ignorant, and I'm sure you're not, like you're probably not malicious,
right?
You know, it's like you might not understand things, but like it doesn't mean like maybe you don't have like bad intent. And like I try to believe
everyone's
that people
human.
Don't have bad intent towards others, you know,
right?
No matter who you are, but
people are, it's that pursuit of happiness. I mean, and I think, you know, we're seeing that change. I mean, what you just like the blockchain space. I think blockchain is a technology that can bring that trust back into the system. I mean, we're seeing.
I think that's a new frontier that's going beyond, you know, what we know now, and it's bringing people a new space to express themselves in a way and innovate. It's a digital space with like NFTs, and cryptocurrencies, and these multiverse like video games and everything that they're creating. It's just
it's the industry of the future.
It's the industry of the future, and I think that
and we have a choice to make that future what we want and fair.
And I think that like it is threatening to certain like economies that it's, you know, not based in the U.S. economy. So I think, you know, it is a big change, and it's something that people are scared of or, you know, unsure about because it's new.
Right.
But I think it is the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's a leap. It's that leap of faith.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and again, so much of the stuff that we talked about, these issues and whatnot. It's like, I think people want that like things to be resolved, and they want, you know, people want to see things change for the better, like instantaneously, you know, overnight. And just like the blockchain space, and just like innovation and technological innovation,
people
like
are impatient.
Like people are impatient. You got to have patience, and like I think even just putting kind of like your monetary value in that system, it kind of teaches you that patience, and that, you know, the fair and truthful values in society and the systems that uphold those values, like they take so much work and so many people to come together and create it. And what we're seeing now is a complete, overhaul of that system of truth and value and fairness. And at a certain point, it's going to hit that inflection point where that adoption just goes crazy. And hopefully, if obviously the monetary system is one thing, but that innovation in itself, I think, could be the solution to many problems within the world.
I think we just need like societal innovation
in general.
Like, progresses us towards being more, just like renewable. For instance, trying to like make things just like everything we do, because like I feel like, it used to be that like we were consuming things at such a fast rate that we were constantly talking about like how much we were producing and like just like creating all of this trash. And now more and more I hear about companies just like talking about how they're like renewable. And I understand that, like, I'm sure a lot of companies like are more renewable, but to a certain degree, I feel like the media is so much more flooded with the stories about how places are renewable that we don't hear about what is still happening and like what we need to do to like change. And it's just like it goes beyond like changing the packaging, like there are bigger things at play here, and like
it's the foundations.
It's the foundations themselves that you have to create to change the energy that we are consuming and producing, and like how we change those industries. And it really is like, for a lot of places in the US, that is threatening like some people's like way of life. Because I remember like
100%
being in Michigan or being in Minnesota, there are these towns that are like they're coal mining areas, and like mining is the way of life. And like there are these environmentalists that are threatening their way of life, saying that like basically like the northern like all of the like where are the rivers up there in northern Minnesota called? It's like the
boundary waters.
The boundary waters, yeah. Like I think there's a lot, like the boundary waters are basically saying like they want to protect those lands.
Damn.
And like for a lot of people, it's just like this whole town is built on,
right?
Like,
that's the main income.
That's the main income.
Like, this entire city.
It's just like without that, like we wouldn't have anything besides like the small amount of tourism we get during the summer when like people come up here for the nice weather in the lakes. And it's just like, for me, visiting those areas, it's just like you have sympathy, and like I'm empathetic towards these people who are like it's like this is our community, and like we're basically losing our jobs and foundation. And it's just like, yeah, that sucks. But at the same time, it's just like, I'm also like, but like we do really have to change the way that we run our society. And like it feels weird saying like like at some point it has to change. It can't just be like like what are you gonna do? Like you can't just at a certain point you have to do something about it,
right?
And like I know,
and that's just one tiny example.
It's one tiny example,
but like, we're seeing that in every industry across the globe, and it's the great global like shift into the future economy. I mean, and
then like right now, because like a lot of the I mean like a lot of the times like the people that are like more, I guess, against not like shutting down those types of industries are just like people that have a lot of money, and then it's like a lot of people that have money like push against those policies. So it's just like hard to be progressive when you have so much money backing these industries that are so ingrained in our society, like oil and coal, that it's like part of like the American industry,
right?
Doing these things. And I think it's like we are changing, obviously, and I think a lot of industries are changing, but it's just like everyone's impatient, and like it has to, and then now it's just like things have to change faster than it feels like there's like a deadline somewhat because of climate change. So it's kind of like
and it's in our hands, Cole.
Yeah, it is.
That's
what they always say. It's like your generation's going to be the one that has to stop it, or it's just like,
you're
fuck
you,
or you're fucked. It's like, that's a lot
of
pressure.
Thanks, guys.
Because you kind of just like left us a basket of shit and said like it's gonna get lit on fire in a few years, and it's your problem to put it out.
For real though, and I mean, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how we leave the world and leave it for the people of the 22nd century.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
it's going to be, because I mean, yeah, we're going to be able to experience all of these revolutions and all of these fundamental shifts, and I mean like obviously we all play some role. I think doing something like this in terms of sharing mindsets and getting voices out there is one piece of value that people can add, and really just being a fucking nice person. Just like going throughout your life, just kind of being grateful and whatnot. And obviously it's going to take time, but yeah, it's going to, I have hope for the 22nd century. It's going to be a cool ride, but I think I think
it's going to be crazy.
We're going to see some very hard decisions having to be made about like where people want to go and where people want to spend their time and what platforms they want to use and what
like where your true values in life,
and
like,
I think
like what legacy will we leave behind for the generation after us, because like I feel like the legacy that the generation above us like is starting to form, like what they have left behind for us, like the baby boomers, and we're starting to see like the millennials become like the older generation,
right?
And like we are becoming like the middle young age generation, like the 24, 25-year-olds. And it's like me and you, like born in 1997. It's like that weird, the years between like you're not quite a millennial and you're not quite Gen Z, and it's just kind of like you're in between all this shit. You're just like, what the fuck? Like I didn't really have a phone when I was a kid, but I didn't really like play old Nintendo games. I don't really have that like nostalgia, but like
weird times.
And then it's just like weird times, and you see all this shit happening. It's just like, I think it is like our few years, like the people that are around our age, it is a really interesting generational shift, because like the people that I know from like high school, they're just even a few years younger. It's just like they have like a very different attitude towards things, and I feel like it's just like, wow, it is a weird place to be in. Like I remember talking to my friend in high school about it, and he was saying, I have a feeling that like a lot of the kids in the grades younger than us act so different because they had like iPhones when they were in like elementary school, middle school. And the iPhones, like we as like kids, like our age, it's like kids had iPhones in high school, but it's like we didn't really have them when we were younger. But then like imagine if you had an iPhone and Snapchat when you were in middle school.
Oh my God, I would have been so addicted. I would have not been able to concentrate on anything.
And now it's just like that's like a standard for these kids. They're younger than us, and it was like even like it was literally like a cutoff point between like you're younger than me and 2 years younger than me. It's like those kids had easy access to iPhones when they were that age, where kids were getting cell phones now regularly, and it was just like I feel like it just changed society in a way, like recognizably, where it's just like these kids act different, and it's just
it's gonna be
it's weird.
It's well, and China just fucking implemented this some pretty strict regulations around phone usage and social media usage. Like I know like like younger kids, like very young kids can't use it all. And I think at a certain age, like 10, 12 maybe, like they can use it for a certain amount of hours a day.
That's interesting.
But and then out here it's just wild west, baby. You want a phone and you want to give your phone a little third grader? Fucking go for it.
I feel like you
play some Temple Run.
Yeah, it's like you see kids at restaurants with like iPads.
Yeah, it's
and like their
weird.
Parents aren't even like paying attention to them. They're just like fuck off and like check out this for like as long as you want, because you'll basically be glued to that shit for as long as it's in front of you.
Passive parenting.
Talk to your mom. Like, we're gonna like take a break for a minute because it's too much.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to at least get some like educational games or like some shit like that.
Yeah, or do something that like sparks some type of like inspiration, where it's just like give them like a little Apple pen and let them draw something. At least
teach them how to fucking make some NFTs.
Yeah, because it's like before, it's just like, it's like kids are on crayons with a piece of paper in the restaurants. It's like if they could have something that could give them a little bit more like ability to design, I'm sure young children would be able to go off, because like it was actually, that kind of reminds me of something else. I saw this video of this kid, and he's like 3 years old, and he's like and they're like, oh my god, this is so amazing. This kid, he like produced this like professional level song, and you see him like basically in like solid, or what's like, there's a professional mixing software, it's like sound mixing software, I forget what it is, but basically it's like like maybe Cubase or something, but basically he's in like this professional like sound mixing software, and he's like playing piano and like playing all this stuff and like mixing this song, and it's like, wow, this is incredible. Like this kid is like, it's like he's like a musical savant, so like really? It's like crazy. And it's like you see him and he's like can barely talk, and he's like playing
that's
piano
crazy,
and, like,
what
stuff.
the fuck.
And it's like wow, that's like really, really incredible. And like I'm sure not everyone would be able to do that, but at the same time, like what I found interesting was like he's in this house that's like, he has like the largest, newest like MacBook desktop, like iMac desktop, and he's like in a professional studio, like in-home professional studio. And it's like, okay, well, this kid obviously is really good at this, but it's like he probably grew up with his dad being a professional producer or something.
Yeah, maybe
and
his dad's like a famous artist,
or maybe his dad's a famous artist, and it's just like, you don't grow up, and like it's just like that nature versus nurture,
Yeah,
because of what you have. Like, are you created or are you naturally gifted at things? And it's like, for him, it's like, obviously the kid has a natural talent because he's 3 and able to do this, but also it's 100%. Like he grew up in like a professional studio, so it's like obviously you have a predisposition.
It's just a baby brain fucking living in a studio, and it's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna fucking just soak up. But
it'll be interesting to see if like there's kids who are able to use the internet to soak up information like that and not just get glued to like these like stupid games. Like the amount of potential you'd be able to have like limitless information practically at the touch of a button. And it's just like, if you're a child and you're able to like, it's like
maybe utilize that
so like,
energy.
Yeah, it's like if you have an iPad, you can draw whatever you want versus like crayons and paper. It's just like that would be a good use of like that technology at that age, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
But like, maybe not saying like chill out on the Temple Run and like draw some pictures, which is a very creative free thing to do. That's so simple, but like does provoke more thought.
Maybe we'll get a full generation of fucking
Picassos,
just crazy, crazy innovators and artists.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's trying to make the next NFT, and they're just like, man, like I've been making NFTs since I was out the womb, son. Like this shit's nuts, and they're just like got the best projects and shit.
Bands, like fucking the currency of the world is just NFTs now.
Yeah, it's just like kids making shit, and it's like there's these select group of children who are just like making NFTs, and it's like, that's the shit. Like that is money.
People are fucking born to make NFTs.
Yeah,
it's their sole purpose in life.
It's like weird cult shit. Society's grown around just like worshiping this group of children who are just bred to make NFTs.
That sounds like the next Netflix series. Hey, Netflix, that's our idea.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Our idea. We said it here first.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Well, fuck. All right. I think that was a good convo. Let's fucking wrap it here, man. We did some cool shit in this. Got you set up with the crypto journey. Yeah. We'll have to update the people with everything we do. Like
how my investments turn out.
Yeah. Everything we're doing and shit. But yeah, this was fucking fun.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me.
Peace out, everyone. Peace.